Hello, everyone. Just a little bit, some of you may know that Limitless Judaism is undergoing a facelift, and our website is being recreated. It's taking longer than expected, so I apologize for lack of communications. But one thing that I did last year and will do again is also an Elul teaching that will be available daily. So if you're interested in that, please go to the website, and I believe that the sign-up sheet is still functioning. You can get yourself on our mailing list, and you'll hear from me more about that. So, Mark, you mentioned that we are at the low point of the calendar, and I think I hate to say this, but it's almost a blessing, because we've been feeling so much pain anyway that we now can say that we actually have a reason to attach that to. And in thinking about Tisha B'Av over the last number of years, having read Alan Liu's book, This Is Real and You Are Completely Unprepared, this holy day is really the beginning of the high holiday cycle. So we start at a low point because it's from the low point that we can begin to, maybe we're digging in the earth, right? To see what it is that we need to plant and settle and grow. So with that in mind, I would love it, Fergens, if you would share a screen for us. Thank you. So in this troubled time, I invite us to sing or listen, or both. Ufros aleinu sukkot, sukkot, shalom lecha, ufros aleinu sukkot, sukkot, shalom lecha. So we ask the Holy Presence to spread over us wings of peace as we move toward Tisha B'Av this evening. And in looking for what felt appropriate to share with you today, I found this text in Alan Liu's book that I thought really touched the core for me. Here's the $64,000 question. Why do our biblical figures all have to leave home in order to find a home, in order to leave again? And more to the point, he asks, why do we? So by way of context, he shares that this is a profoundly Jewish question, right? Not just because we're wanderers, a people destined to live without a true home for close to 2,000 years, while somehow managing to hold on to our identity, but also because the Jewish calendar, our calendar, this sacred year embodies this essential paradox of the homeward journey. And he tells us this nowhere that this is more evident than during the months surrounding the high holidays, a quarter of a year. I never thought about that before. A quarter of a year that we spend investing in reestablishing who we are. So we begin, right, with Tisha B'Av. We mourn the destruction of the temple, and move all the way through the cycle into the high holidays themselves, this period of intense revelation and purification, and completing with Sukkot, generally a time of our great rejoicing. That might not be so this year. But nonetheless, we erect a house that isn't really a house. It's a home that's not really a home, a time that we seem to come to the end of a journey only to begin it again. And then he says, every time we come home, home is different, and so are we. So let's just take a breath with that for a moment. This concept of home, which we'll spend time with today. Pulling the camera back or maybe inward, particularly. Lost the screen share. You guys still with me? There we go. From the Midrash Bamidbar Rabbah, as Rabbi Yochanan ben Toreta said, due to what reason was the first temple destroyed? It was due to the fact that there were three matters in it: idol worship, illicit sexual relations, and bloodshed. And we can now come back away from the screen share if you'd like, Perkins, thanks. So all of these things, these three reasons that are identified: idol worship, illicit sexual relations, bloodshed, these are expressions of not feeling at home, not being able to experience ourselves as being at home. So what I intend for us today is to take a little bit of time to explore home for ourselves, and hopefully maybe deepen in our sense of home at a time when we may feel shaken from our very foundation. I invite us to soften our eyes or close them. Breathe in. Feel your chest. Feel your heart. Feel your belly. Notice the light that's coming into you from your third eye. Notice the energy that moves both within you from the crown of your head and also out from you in that ever intimate connection between you and the energy of the cosmos. Take a moment to feel your shoulders. Maybe roll them a tiny bit. See if they're holding. Allow them to relax. And as you do this, notice your body gently sinking into your seat. This in and of itself is one of our places of home, where we connect to the energy of the ground, the energy of settling. And allow that flow to go out from your pelvis, through your thighs, into your knees. Down from your knees to your lower legs. into your ankles and feet. Through your feet, out your toes, and down through the bottoms of your feet. Again, grounding you. Grounding you in safety. Grounding you in the recognition that you are whole with all of your thoughts, all of your feelings, all of your bodily sensations. And all the harm and trauma and hurt that we may have been experiencing this year since October 7th. And additional harm or hurt or trauma, fear, anxiety, that may be in our world for other reasons. Send it home. Home into the ground. And feel the arms of the earth. The arms of the Holy Presence sprouting out from the ground. Beautiful hands and arms of any size, any shape, any color. As many hands as you need to rise up like a plant from the ground, to hold you. To nourish you. To take your hurt. So that you can heal. Feel this sense of home. This home that is with you always. And as we grow and change and evolve, no matter what changes in our worlds, this home is consistent. This home will hold you. Feeding you with that sense of peace. that will help you to unfold. In a place of steadiness and connectedness. Take some time to sit into that. Feel what that is for you. As we take some quiet time.
Thank you so much, Robin. And friends, let's seal the practice as we do each day, offering an opportunity for those of you who are in mourning, those of you who are observing Yahrzeit, if it's your custom to join in the mourner's Kaddish, to recite it. If you're not reciting Kaddish, we ask that you please stay present for those who are. Thanks to Firkins for sharing the words on the screen. If you'd like to put the name or names of those you're honoring through Kaddish today in the chat, you can do that now or after we're done. And if you're reciting it with me, please join me by rising in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time. Yitgadal,
Shemiraba,
Yamad,
Yamad,
Hayiko, Shemiko, Hayiko, Israel, Agala, Israel,
Amen.
Shme, Rabbi, Barak, Olam,
Meomaya,
Yitarach, Yitabach, Yipa'ar, Yipitam, Yipaseh, Yitzadar, Yitalel, Yitalach, Yishmael, Ha'ila, Minchata, Nechama, Shlama Rabban Yishmael, Ayin,
Amen. Amen.
Shalom
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Share in the chat our lineup of leaders for the rest of this week. Tomorrow will be led on Tisha B'Av by Rabbi Jordan Ben-Dad Appel. On Wednesday, Rabbi Dan Lieben will be hosting and leading. On Thursday, Yiska Smith joins us from Jerusalem. And Friday, blessed to have Rabbi Dorothy Richmond leading us to sit together into Shabbat. So we hope you'll join us for any or all of those. If you're leaving us now, and of course, you're welcome to stay on for a conversation with our teacher, Rabbi Robin Damsky, about today's beautiful practice, or just to continue to use this time to sit together. You can turn off the sound on your computer or device and use this time to stay with your sit, stay with your practice. And if you're leaving us now, if it's your practice to fast on Tisha B'Av, we wish you a tzom kal, a meaningful and easy fast. And however you observe the day, we hope it's a meaningful day in the Jewish calendar for you. And we hope that this practice enhances and deepens it for you. So let me bring you in, Robin. And as always, if you have a question, please put it in the chat and write question all in caps. And I'll keep an eye out for those. Robin, thanks so much. It was really just beautiful. Nice way for me to ease back in here myself. I was really delighted that you began and ended with Ufro Salinu Sukat Shlomecha from the Hashkivenu prayer. It's been on my mind, trying to think about what to say to friends and family in Israel as they sit with the unknown. And I can't think of a more apt phrase or words to pray for. But I also want to appreciate, that passage from Rabbi Alan Liu's book, which, of course, essential reading for this season for everyone. If you haven't read it, or if you've read it, it's time to reread it. Here it comes. That's that's the original cover.
Yeah.
Good one. This is real, and you are completely unprepared. Everyone should read that. Of course, with the Shofar Project, that was our reading for last year. In any case, just to cut to the chase here, the essence of this teaching was that and it's interesting that it's a quarter of the year, so there's a lot of time where we're homeless, basically. The home is destroyed, and it's really struck me that the temple that is destroyed, as commemorated on the 9th of Av, contrasted with the sukkah, right? That what gets smashed is this, what looks like the house. In fact, it's called the habayit, the house.
Yeah.
And it's eventually we find like, well, the real house doesn't look like that grand house, gold plated, magnificent. It's just a simple, temporary, permeable structure that we move to. And so I just want to invite you to elaborate a little bit on that, that's the movement spiritual movement, an arc of this time of the year is, as Rabbi Liu writes, basically the walls come crashing in. Everything we think we knew or we're sure of comes down, and we have to find a deeper source of security and wisdom. And that ultimately is represented, and joy, which is represented, the sukkah represents not just that, but also joy, which seems to be a theme these days. So maybe I wanted somebody to elaborate a little bit on, what he's saying there.
So what spoke to me in that piece is that we think we're homeless. And when the temple is destroyed and we are then exiled from our land, everything we knew, everything we know is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of us have been feeling that this year, that everything that we had faith in about the land of Israel has been upset, at the very least, upset. And, we learn about the sukkah that the preciousness is that connection to the sacred all the time, that everything is temporal. That's the whole essence of sukkah, is that to notice, right? And we're reading, I always do this wrong. We're reading Ecclesiastes, right? Lamentations, yeah. And everything is changing. Everything is changing all the time. So what keeps us centered? And the sukkah gives us an opportunity to literally participate in making a structure. And then we sit in it and we recognize that even though everything that we think is stable might be gone, that the true joy is being able to connect deep within, with that deep place of home, which is the connection with the planet, right? Because Sukkot is the harvest festival. It is the time of year when we are being thankful that we have food to eat, and we are praying for rain in the please God hopes that we will have enough food to eat next year. So there's this delicacy and this constant reminder that things that we put stock in that we think are stable, it ain't necessarily so.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because I did not intend to have that vision coming up from the earth in the meditation. It just showed up. It's almost like the sukkah in reverse, that we're being held in this large, thing, flower, leaf, tree, whatever it is for each of us, that gives us the opportunity to go, oh, I can cry here. I can feel safe here. I can be here. I can be, this is it. This is my stability.
I really appreciate all of that. I'm looking at the questions in the chat. I'm going to bring in those questions, even though that might take us on a little bit of a tangent. But there's a question from Pam about that during the meditation, she found herself mourning for Dr. King. But since we're a Jewish community, is it a wiser practice to focus more specifically on the destruction of the temple? Is it up to us? We want to include other non-Jewish tragedies, or is it more in keeping with the holy day if we stay with the tradition? I have an answer to that, but why don't you take that?
You know, I think we open our arms. We open our arms because grief is grief, and loss is loss, and pain and suffering are pain and suffering. And I truly feel, and this is what has really sprouted for me since October 7th, is the recognition that our pain is interconnected as we are interconnected. And as we can find more space to feel our hearts, then we expand to feel the pain of all people. And that, I think, is like the seed, the germ of us creating and building more Sukkot, Shlomecha, more homes of peace, more spaces of safety, which we really, really need as a species.
I want to bring in idol worship here because one of the, I mean,
Tom
for
does.
me, from what, I assume, tell me if I'm wrong, but I assume you cited that in the source sheet, that teaching about why the first temple was destroyed, that idolatry is one of the three reasons given there, as opposed to the second temple, which is, because of baseless, baseless hatred.
Right.
That so I wanted to talk about what we mean by what we might mean by idolatry. And it seems to me that this is kind of that with the practice that we're engaging in from Tisha B'Av through the fall holidays is a kind of anti-idolatry, smashing of idols, right? That which of course got this famous midrash about Abraham, right, as a little kid in his father's idol shop, smashing the idols, right? And that the the rabbis who wrote that midrash had this sense of that's what it meant. That's what this was really meant to be about, that we are idol smashers collectively and individually. And that part of what this practice is about is identifying, well, what is an idol for me now? Including my own security, right? We can make an idol of that, right?
Wow, that's great.
Anyway, so what was your intent in bringing in that teaching?
Well, first of all, I think Idol Smashers is like a great t-shirt and a band name, so we can work on that for the future because that's awesome.
Smashing
So
idols since 1600 BCE.
I brought it in because I did this in a Torah study. Wasn't last Shabbat, but the Shabbat before, connected to Matot Maseh and defiling the land. And it struck me that each of these three things, right? Idol worship is something that takes us away from being home. Maybe it's based on fear, maybe it's based on some idea that we might have, but it takes us away from being connected with soul and being connected with source. And whether that idol is money or power or how many hits we get on a post that we put on social media, that moving into empowering something that is not vulnerable, that is not of source, that takes us away from home. That takes us away from connection with spirit, however people understand spirit, God, source. So that was the reason that I brought all, that quote in with all three of those. Illicit sexual relations, however one would define that. I think for me, the way that would feel most honest is just to say, when my heart's not connected.
How about I'm thinking about that. It's thinking about like bad boundaries,
Yeah.
having bad boundaries, right?
Right. Right. So that's kind of where, and then bloodshed, which is obvious. And obviously, again, there are times when that is essential for survival. When is it not essential, and when is it an expression of power or greed,
Mhm.
which is essentially idol worship.
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of, I think, surrender involved that you're describing, right? We're surrendering what we think we know, what we think we need, what we think we depend on. It just
And what
reveals,
we're taught, and what we're also
Right.
taught need and depend on, right?
right, which is very frightening. So we're coming to a close, and there is a question which I think is really, from Ricky, which I think is, I'm sure, on all our hearts, about moments like this, which where there is a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. And Ricky's asking, what's a practice or a phrase or a mantra for now? And I'm good with Fros Aleinu Sukkot Shlomecha. But do you have an answer for that? Like what's a mantra or phrase or song for you that helps
Yeah,
helps
that
you be with the
that
fear?
would be one. What I didn't bring in, which is in the source sheet, is Hareini Havaya Darkecha Ahalech Va'amitecha Yached Levavi V'Yirah Shemecha. Show me, source, your ways. Show me your path, that I may walk in your truth. Help my heart to revere your name, which I think is revere like what's true. And there are different levels of answers to this question. One is for our own selves. Another is for people around us. And some of those people may be local, and some of those people may be in Israel. So this kind of, billow or balloons out.
Mhm.
And again, I would say, as a practice, reach out in love.
Mhm.
Touch yourself with love and grace,
Mhm.
and reach out in love. And that rebuilds, to me, that's rebuilding the temple, is reaching out in love.
Okay. Beautiful. Do you want to chant that, or do you
Sure.
want to chant? I'm just going to ask you, I think we need to, if you can, when you were singing, it went in and out a little bit because of the audio setting.
Yeah. So
Maybe if you
is
can
there a
check,
different audio setting that I can do?
yeah, if you
I should do the
can.
original sound for musicians and put that on. Yeah. Is that
Right,
better?
yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right.
Okay, and then why don't we end with that? Okay.
And Firkins, do you want to bring that up on the screen?
You don't have it handy, Perkins, I can do it.
Okay, that's fine.
I got it.
But I'll start anyway. Hareini Havaya Darkecha Ahalech Ba'amitecha Yached Levavi V'Yirah Shemecha. Unify my heart to revere your name.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Robin. Good to be with you all.
Welcome.
And again, wishing everyone a meaningful Tisha B'Av, a Tzom Kal, a meaningful fast, an easy fast for those who participate in that way. And we hope to see everyone tomorrow for practice with Rabbi Jordan Ben Pell. Be well, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Perkins. Thanks, everyone, for being here.